Hello, everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of Beyond the Job Title. Today, I have with me Joshua, who works as an IT recruitment consultant. Welcome to the show, Joshua.
Hi.
Thanks for joining. So, Joshua, could you give us an overview of what being an IT recruitment consultant entails?
Yeah, so there's a few factors that go into it. On the outset, it sounds like a pretty easy role.
Hmm.
Essentially, if you boil it down, you're just calling people and you're asking them if they want a job. And you're calling clients and you're asking them if they need people for a job. It does have its layers though. But
Hmm.
my specific type of recruitment line of business or LOB is IT.
Hmm.
So I'm an IT consultant and also recruiter. And so my role sees me speaking to people specifically in the IT field, and I also go down more specifically to the infrastructure side of IT, which isn't development, it's strictly infrastructure. So your networkers and your system engineers. I speak to those people who want jobs, and I just basically try to assess where they are right now in their lives,
Hmm.
and what makes them want to pursue a different role. And that there's another whole list of factors. And then I also speak to clients, and the clients are either um, CFOs, CEOs, IT managers, etc., who can hire these people. And I ask them, well, look at your kind of infrastructure environment. What do you need? What kind of person do you need to come and fulfill a role? And then
Hmm.
I, on behalf of them, find those specific people with those specific skills and get them to interview. So I'm basically the middleman between a hiring manager and a candidate. I'm the person who helps these people find each other. So that's the role in a very broad nutshell.
Thanks for giving us an overview. It was quite interesting to hear that you have to interact with quite some of the senior stakeholders, right?
Yeah,
Some of the people who get recruited might not be able to speak to them, but you are in touch with directors and others
yeah.
who make the recruitment decision. So it's quite good. So what was your personal journey? What steps did you take to land yourself into a role of an IT recruitment
Yeah,
consultant?
look, it didn't just happen on a Tuesday. It was a long process. I went to university first. I went to pursue an IT degree,
Mm-hmm.
um, and that was 4 years of my life. I managed to secure my first IT role coming out of university, and I did that for a number of years. I was an IT support person. Working in various environments. I've worked both internal and in MSPs. And for those of you that don't know what an MSP is, it's basically an IT company that helps other companies with their IT. So I've helped. There's two different kinds of IT help, and I've
Yeah.
helped both.
Managed
And
service
then
providers, isn't it?
managed service provider, yes, perfect. And
Mm.
then I've also been an on-site field technician. So that's when you go out to different environments and actually do a lot of work on site, helping users both on the front end and back end as well. So I've done my fair share there, and I initially wanted to get into a cybersecurity role, but I think my passion at the time was to do that. But I've changed a lot since I've been doing a lot more, um, I guess, growing up and maturing in the field. I've realized that my passion lies more with people and speaking to people.
Mm.
So not I've sort of pulled myself back from a more technical role, and I've decided that I wanted to increase my soft skills, because I felt like where I was in IT, I was quite narrow-minded in terms of where I wanted to go. So when I got the opportunity to become a recruiter, and I took that opportunity, now I can see my marketplace on a broader picture, and I'm able to
Mm.
speak to people who do hire people. And
Yeah.
now I understand why some people get stuck in a particular place and why others move to other roles and what it takes
Mm.
to do that. And so that's been a big help for myself. Taking a step back out of my career to go to to get a different perspective of my career. It's kind of weird, but that's really helped me sort of see where I actually want to put my effort in going from here. So I hope that
That
helps sort of understand
sounds
a little
like
bit.
an exciting journey with full of learning, and it would have
Yeah,
definitely broadened your perspective as well for the whole IT job
yeah, it really
market.
does.
So Joshua, in terms of if you are to advise somebody and somebody wants to make and enrolled into this career, what is a potential pathway they can take to get to become an IT recruitment consultant?
So the
Is
biggest
there a
thing that,
quicker way? Is there a shortcut?
yeah,
Or is there a...
look, it's um I would say that for recruitment, you don't need to be a genius in a field,
Mm,
or have a lot of, I guess, it's an interesting field because it's accessible to everyone. Let's say that if
mm,
you're a person that is a personable person that can speak well, communicate well to others, and also be a very uh I guess charming is not the right word. I think if you're just able to relate to a big demographic, um,
mm,
and you're able to show them why they need a particular resource or a service, then you can get into this field. But understanding the industry or the line of business you're working in, especially like for me, because I come from an IT background, it helped me it half the way already. So I already knew what I was selling and how to sell it. I just need to be that person that can sell it. So I would say that you ever thought about getting into recruitment, you have to think about what line of business you're going to be doing. If it's finance, if it's HR, if it's IT, if it's mining, it doesn't matter what it is. You need to understand the line of business first to a decent degree, and then you can absolutely get into that. Yeah, that's basically the advice. Um, then what you're probably going to have is the challenges that are going to come your way if you haven't done a sales role is that it's very performance targeted. You have to be able to meet certain targets,
mm,
and you have to treat it like your own business. It's completely up to you with how much you put in is how much you get out of it. And if you're able to meet your targets, fantastic. But if you're not meeting your targets, then you have to really consider if this is the right role for you because it is very much performance based, through and
mhm.
through. So yeah.
So, moving to operations, how does a typical day in your shoes look like? What are the set of tasks you do? How do you start? Could
Yeah,
you give...
that's fine. My day is broken up into segments. It's very time managed, focused, target orientated sequences. So to give you an idea, every morning there's a teams meeting. We talk about um, our objectives for the day. We talk about what we've done
Mm,
the day prior, and what we're going to do for the following day, and how we're going to do it. That'll be just with your specific team. Following that, we do have a session called a client canvassing session where we take 2 hours out of our morning and we literally just focus on calling clients, which is basically companies. So your IT managers, or if,
mm,
for me specifically, IT managers and any HR managers and anyone who can sell to me. Oh, sorry, who I can sell to, anyone in that bracket.
mm,
And within that session, we normally have that's about a 2 hour session. Then right after that, we'll get closer to about lunchtime, and then after lunchtime, we'll take another portion of afternoon and they call the candidates, which is the other side, so the people looking for jobs, and we'll just call them. Um, and in that call, we'll do a number of different things. So there's this thing called leads. The leads are something that we try and get out of our candidates. If I call you
mm,
about a specific job, in that conversation, I'll also try and get out who else you've applied to, which will help me for the next day to call those people because you've applied
mm,
to those people so I can try and get information out of it. So it's a lot of deduction skills that is required when you make every phone call. Every phone call you make can be a phone call that you can elicit certain things out of people, um, why they're taking a role, how much they want, where they're focusing their efforts on, where they want to go next. Um, these are all leads and all valuable information that we can
mhm,
use with every phone call. That's basically the day. Interlaced with that, it's a lot of admin. So, all the information that we get out of the clients and candidates, we have to sort of, accurately put in the Salesforce system. We use Salesforce where we work. Um, all this does is just helps us accurately keep information so that when something else arises, we can then go back to it and have a look and see what we put in there. That's really what that is. Um, and then if you've got interviews, or if you've got people going to different interviews for their own accord, then that's another thing that we have to try and facilitate as well. So I'll be calling candidates and clients and trying to make their schedules meet up as well. So there's a lot of you're basically like an event organizer, a project manager, a little bit of a investigator. So all those things are in can be found in your day. Some days are full of it, some days aren't. So
Sure. So Joshua, what are some of the things you enjoy in your role and some of the things which you don't enjoy that much, any challenges, etc.? Could you touch
mm,
upon those?
yeah, absolutely. So the things you enjoy about this role is that the job satisfaction is extreme. Um, High job satisfaction, I'd say, with this role, because the amount of work that you put into it, that when you do get a sale, every little thing feels like a big win because it's very difficult to achieve these things. Um, Getting a phone call with the right person is hard. You have to go through reception. They don't like you immediately because you're a salesperson, so they'll send you away. So just finding the right person to speak to is a big win. Then convincing that person to come meet with you is another big win. So all these little things make, it's high job satisfaction. And then when you actually place a candidate, when you get them to buy one of your candidates, the feeling is immense because it's very difficult to achieve that. But then on the flip side, the lows of this job are very low. So when you get three rejections, three rejections in a row by, can be whatever, you have to be able to find it within you to keep going and and go again and phone someone else and not let it affect you emotionally. Um, the other thing is that you have to deal with people on another emotional level. So I have to care about someone's well-being when I'm thinking about trying to get them to apply for a role.
Mm,
There's a moral, ethical factor as well with this job that if I call you just so that I can make money, um,
yeah.
I have to think about, your family, and if making this move is going to be the right move for you, I have to keep that on my conscience as well. So it is it can be quite demanding on
Mm,
that factor as well. So um, trying to balance these two things can feel at times very difficult to do, because you go through a bit where everything feels amazing, and then suddenly just everything feels in disarray, and then back to amazing again. So you have to be able to be a person that can go from highs and lows like that, like very big shifts quite quickly. So yeah.
nice. So Joshua, what are some of the key skills which are necessary to succeed in the role of an IT recruitment consultant or a recruitment consultant?
Top skill is to know your line of business, like mentioned previously. It is the
Mm,
credible to be credible in front of the people that you're speaking to make them even trust you, to make them even
mm,
think about you as a valuable resource or someone who knows what they're speaking about. You absolutely have to understand their line of business. Otherwise, they know you are someone who doesn't really understand them and they won't trust that the decision that you've made for them is the right decision. So that's 100% you need to know that. The next thing is you have to be someone who can speak to a big demographic and be very comfortable speaking to anyone from the help desk, which is like the lowest career
mm,
possible at the career stage, to the highest career stage, which is your solution architect, your CTO, CFO. You have to be able to be very comfortable speaking to them and
mm,
give them the impression that you are someone that can turn to and be a go-to person for that service, whatever they want from
mm,
you. So that is very important that's important. You have to be able to be time managed, focused, um, to know where to put effort into your day. So a lot of time management skills is required for this role. Um, that's a big focus as well, which you will learn when you
mm,
get into this role. If you're bad at time management, this job will help because it's very difficult to do this job without having time management. And then also to work under stress, the skill to work under stress as well. So being able to, at first, it's easy, but when you start juggling three different types of roles with
mm,
three different types of candidates to phone, and also trying to include client phone calls and trying to include interviews, that's when the stress becomes very palpable, and you have to be able to calm yourself down and tackle everything in sequence and one step at a time. Those are the big four things I'd have to say. And then the other things is just to not allow yourself to get emotionally attached to things as well. So it's a lot of self. meditation,
Mm,
motivation. It comes from within this job a lot. So if you're someone who's very strong in that sense, you're going to be okay. But if you're not, you have to work on that.
yeah, the way you described it, you are almost like a superhuman working and juggling all
Sometimes
these
I'm
things.
just
Yeah.
yeah, you can't yeah, things that you hear and see and you can't believe it. It's very difficult to understand sometimes when you're not in it. Is what it is.
So, Joshua, could you present a real life scenario where you dealt and employed all these skills?
Sure. So I've had a few cases now where I've managed to fill roles, but my most successful one, which I can disclose, like the role itself was at 150K plus super, so a very
Wow.
high paying role.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the problem when it comes to a very high paying role such as this is that the company obviously is going to outlay a lot of money, especially dealing with us because they have to not only pay this individual a lot of money and give them massive responsibility in the business, they
Mm,
also have to pay you the rates, and we charged about 15% of his rate, so it came to about $25,000
mm,
just to get this person to work with them. So where there's the stress that comes into that before you even start dealing with this.
mm,
So already you have to be very comfortable with what you're doing. But the client that I was calling, I called the client and he said, "Hey, my name's Josh. I'm working for this company. I would love to be able to help you with whatever projects you have got going on. Is there anything I can help you with?" And he said, "Absolutely. You called me at the right time. I'm looking for an infrastructure lead for our business. We need
mm,
someone to basically step in and take charge of the whole infrastructure environment. So they're in charge of all the teams.
mm,
So this person needs to be a person who's got a similar role title, who's got a lot of experience. They've been working for 15 years in IT.
mm,
They command a lot of power within their current role. So they're someone that can absolutely be comfortable leading a lot of people. Their personality has to fit the culture of the company. The company was a construction company, so they have to be able to fit within that culture.
mm,
And then the other thing was that they had to be extremely able to take on the immense pressure of the role. So now you have this key objective. All right, I have to find this
mm,
person. So I went out, I made a couple ads that bring in people. Um, if you've never done this role before, 50 people could apply for your role, but others 50, maybe 10 are okay for the role. And out of those 10, maybe five can actually do the role. And out of those five, maybe two
mm,
can be considered seriously for the role. So you can
mm,
understand how quickly 50 applicants whittles down to nothing. So I found three candidates who were quite well suited for the role. I interviewed them individually each, and then I managed to get them in front of the client. The client interviewed all three, and out of those three, two got to their second interviews, and then out of those two, one got the job,
wow.
um, which was a great success for us. So he started his role 2 weeks ago, and I've been calling them. I call them once a week just to find out how things are going, so I maintain the relationship with the candidate once they
Mm,
start,
mm,
so that I'm able to. Because you see, the idea is that because he's the infrastructure lead,
mm,
he's going to be in charge of hiring now, which means
yes.
that if he's my friend, then
Mm,
he'll come to me for more hiring. This is how the cycle. You want
yeah.
to build this kind of. You want to build from guys who are going from help desk that become managers. Great, they can now be your friend, and managers who go to other management roles. You want to try and facilitate that so that you can get return business. And that actually helped me because now I'm working another role for them now where they're looking for a service desk manager. So, and I've got people interviewing for that tomorrow. So that's for the same company. So you can see how that facilitates a return on investment. And what when you start this role, it's very difficult, but after a while, it becomes easier because people know you really well and will come to you and say, "Hey, you've helped me so well with this service before. I want you to take charge of another role for us because you did a really good job before." So it pays to be very diligent with your work in this role.
Yeah, amazing. So, Josh, is there one particular career advice which you recollect which helped you a lot in your journey so far?
Yeah, I've been given a lot of advice from a lot of different people. I think the biggest one that I just had was just to take initiative and not wait for opportunities to come by.
Mm,
I feel
mm,
like we tend to, well, at least I tend to get into a place where I wait for things to happen, um, and then I see opportunities go by, and I'm not actively searching for them. And I felt like now this role has helped me actively search for success,
mm,
um, which in turn creates more opportunities because it's about odds. If you keep trying at something, eventually it's gonna break
mm,
and happen
mm,
for you. So
mm.
I think that's the biggest self-taught, but also given advice that I've been given and put into practice at least. So I'd say that that's helped me.
Great, great. So, Josh, if you have to give an advice to the watchers of the video, what would that be?
If they're gonna pursue a IT recruitment role,
Hmm.
I mean, advice that way, I'd say just try to, it's difficult, but try to assess whether your lifestyle can take on a role such as this. Do a lot of research. I can't give you all the advice just from listening to one thing that I say. I'd just say be expected to go into an environment that's very fast paced, that requires a lot from you as both a worker and as an individual of your own, I don't know, motivational build-up. Um, if you are able to facilitate that, then you'll be a good success in the role. And also be passionate about the line of business that you're going to be doing and recruiting for. If you're passionate about it, then it'll be easy because you actually enjoy the thing that you're trying to learn. So then
Mm,
it'll be like it won't feel as much of a workplace then. So it'll be okay.
mm. Nice. So, Josh, how does the professional landscape look like in future for IT consultant, IT recruitment consultant? Are there any
So the
changes which
professional
are happening, etc.?
it's interesting. ChatGPT has helped us a lot actually. So AI has helped me because I used to write all my ads. Now I just go to ChatGPT and say, "Hey, write an ad for a network security specialist," and then
Mm,
in 2 seconds there it is. But you also have to understand how to sell that. So even though we have
mm,
AI and we have things that do make our lives easier, the big thing about the recruitment industry is that it's still a very human based component, similar to like a business analyst. You need to be able to have the emotional touch that only a human being has right now, at least,
mm,
over just a computer, because you have to be able to speak to someone and emotionally be able to tell them, I have had an experience
mm,
speaking to Jack, and because of the experience that I've had with Jack, I want you to also have this experience. And that's something you can't get out of a resume. Like if you're
mm,
just reading a piece of paper about someone, you don't get the same experience that way. You need to meet
mm,
them.
mm,
So professional landscape for recruitment, I feel like it's still got very strong legs in terms of where it's going in the future. I feel like companies still very much need that
mm,
human component because it still is a big and plays a large factor in terms of the decisions they make hiring for their future roles and their current roles.
mm,
Um, so I'd say that it's yeah, the landscape is very strong. The problem is it's very saturated. That's the problem. So if you're a recruiter, you have to understand that your competition is fierce and it's immense. You've got thousands of recruitment agencies, and all of them are calling the people that you're calling. And you have to be able to be a person who can make the first call, who can make the first deal, who can get in there first. So
mm,
that's what makes it a very challenging aspect. It does tend to make it a lot of it's a big turnover uh, industry because people come in, see how difficult it is, and then just give up because it's very difficult to carve your own way into it. It takes a lot of immense effort. So
yeah. Josh, what is the work-life balance like being a recruitment consultant?
um, that's a very interesting question because the job itself is flexible. I can go to
Mm,
work, I can come and go as I please because I can have client visits. So they care about the numbers, right? So if
mm,
I'm bringing in If I'm bringing in my target at the end of the quarter, it's okay. I can do whatever I want really. But
Mm,
to bring in that target means that you have to be able to work hard enough to get that target, which potentially means lots of hours.
mm,
Um, it can be, or you can be very lucky and in 2 weeks make the money that you're trying to make. That's the thing. It's very unstable in terms of how you can plan your day. Sometimes it can be very easy, and sometimes it can be very challenging. Um, but with time, the job becomes easier. I've even noticed myself. 6 months ago, I worked half as hard as I do now because I don't have to phone as many people to get the result that I need.
mm,
Whereas when you start, you have to make all those phone calls because no one knows who you
mm.
are, no one cares who you are. So it is very challenging at first to balance those two things, but it does get easier. But it's still a role that requires you to, when needed, put in the hours. So
I was just curious to understand in this industry, how much, what component of the package is linked to performance in terms of percentage wise?
um, are you asking how much you have to, what your targets are? Is that what you're?
No, no. If is there any fixed component of the package, or most of it is variable and performance related?
In terms of how much you get paid? Is that what?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah. In terms of,
okay, so it so recruitment agencies work very differently to each other. Some of them
mm,
have a base, which means that say you get $60,000 a month. Sorry, a year. Geez, a month, amazing.
mm,
$60,000 a year. Let's say that is your base, and then every quarter, which is every 3 months,
mm,
you're required to make $60,000 in sales. So, to give you a quick example,
mm,
if I make a placement tomorrow for, I don't know, a service manager, it's about 20K in sales. So I
mm.
have to make at least three of those in 3 months to make my target,
Target. Yeah.
which is my base pay. And then if I'm able to make more than my base pay within that quarter, I get commission. So if I
Mm,
make say in the first month I make 30K, then the
mm,
second month I make 30K. So then now that's 60K, I'm done. I'm good for the quarter. But that last month I make another 30K. Every placement I make will be $2,000 or $3,000 commission. That is add on top of your commission on top of your base pay. So you'll have, I don't know, 3 months of getting paid $3,000 for
mm,
your normal work, and then there'll be that extra month with that commission, so you get paid 6,000. If that makes any sense. But there's other recruitment agencies that don't pay you base at all.
mm.
The only money you make is the money you sell. So you only get paid if you sell. But then the commission's high because they don't pay you anything. So you get a higher percentage of the commission. So if you're looking for a recruitment agency to work for, take a look at what their base pay is. If it's a high base, you get very little commission. But if there's no base, you get lots of commission. Just depends how you like to work. So
Great. With that, we come to the end of our show today. Thank you so much, Josh, for coming and sharing your valuable insights. It was a pleasure
no problem.
interacting
All
with
good.
you. Thank
Happy
you
to
so
help.
much. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.